Hello? For some reason, it looks particularly bad today. I feel like if those two lights got turned off, then it should go. Lights turned on. For the workshop, and then I'll just turn them back on when it's done. Cool. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Okay. So we're going to be doing a 2-hour game jam with Construct 3. Is anybody here familiar with Construct 3?
I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. They used to teach it at Bloomfield, which Sam and I teach at. It's cool because it's like good for making games really quickly, and it's also really good for like students and like learning. But I think the thing that's maybe underrated about it is it's like extremely good at like if you want to make a web game, it just like straight out the gate just works. It's also a it's a web-based application, so I think even the downloadable version is like running, it's like a web browser basically, which is cool. So this is like native to web, which is like the coolest thing about it. And then the previews happen really quickly. And then the other thing that I'll just say that I think is really cool is it works pretty seamless with mobile. So if you wanted to make a game where it's like, oh, you're playing on your phone, it's really easy to do that with Construct 3. If you have been on Newgrounds, like honestly, in the past 10 years, a lot of like the kind of shitty kids games, like games that like kids are making, like all these kids are making games in Construct, which is what's so cool about it. The only commercial game I can think of off the top of my head that uses Construct is Hypnospace Outlaws. If you're familiar with that, that's a Construct game. Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Um, is that oh. A very scary group chat was just there, so I'm glad I exited out of that very quickly. Invite people. Okay. You got it.
Or actually, just show me
I have it's right up there.
the link instead of the QR code. But yeah.
And I'll be posting a bunch of links in there.
Oh, sorry, just one more.
Uh,
There.
let me also post this in the channel. So I'm gonna be sharing links in the Game Jam Club section, and if anybody else wants to post any links, of course, just post whatever you want. If there's anything useful that you find or tips or whatever.
You have
Can I see that link that you were showing me one more time?
the Discord link.
WHP or with server change. Good shit. I think that should be good.
All right, cool. So everybody. All right. Is everybody in the Discord? Are you in the Discord yet?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're just going to be sharing links in this channel in development. Yeah, there's like too many channels here, but it's in development. It's Game Jam Club. That's where I'll be posting links. But I mean, it's pretty easy to just find if you search Construct. It'll take you to construct.net. If you haven't already, create an account. It takes a second to do that. So just go to the website, make an account. Takes maybe a minute or two. So there is a paid version of Construct where it has more features. We're going to be using the trial. So does anyone here pay for Construct? I would say if there is anybody that does have the paid version of Construct, this could be a fun experiment if you make another account and just use the free trial, because there are some restrictions with the free trial. So there's like like an event system. This is kind of like not traditional like scripting or things like that. It's kind of this weird event tree. It's cool. I like it, but it only limits you to a certain amount of events. So for this game jam, let's just try to use that as kind of a an extra challenge. But if you really want to pay for it and you're interested in making games with it, especially if you're interested in making web games, I think it is worth purchasing. But I definitely don't have a license at the moment, so I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah. Does everybody have an account so far? Does everybody need a minute?
On Discord, but I don't see.
You can just search construct .net and you can just go there. But it's also this Game Jam Club. You might want to expand development. Do you see? It's like here, the development. It says Game Jam. I almost said Game Jam Club.
the games are awesome because it's big and healthy.
Yeah, those are the types of games you can make. Maybe someone can make a pig in a helmet. That's like the extra. You get bonus points if you make a game that includes a pig in a helmet. All right, you found it?
Yeah.
And did you make an account?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on. I have my Discord. I'm on the first page of the game jam.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's weird. You have a different toolbar than I do, because instead of launch construct free, mine is free trial. It isn't that far. Page bar.
Oh, it's probably because I've already.
I think it's all the way down. See, but it says all the way down. It says construct 3, like literally all the way. All yeah. It says nature and game. That's why I clicked on the game. Yeah, I
Oh.
put some stuff there.
Well, you can click the guided tour
Then
And
you
then
can
just say don't do it.
and then just say don't do it. Just say no thanks. So if you want to do the guide, you can. I'm just gonna show everybody, like, usually for the workshops, I don't really go too in depth because we're only have 2 hours, right? You're not gonna make anything too insane with this, right, in 2 hours. So I'm just gonna show how to make a really basic platformer game. It's like kind of stupidly easy to make a platformer. And if you have any other questions, um, feel free to ask them as it goes on, like if you want to do this or that. But I would just say the big thing is just to scope really small because we only have 2 hours. But basically, I'll just go over some of the basics. So to start making a game, you just go to Menu, Project, and then New. And then you want to name the project. So I'm just going to call this, because I'm going to edit and then maybe start a new one. So I'm just going to call this example, whatever. The other thing is, I would say, think about the size of how big this is going to be. So this is like 16 by 9, which is like most screen sizes. If you want to optimize for certain phone sizes, you can figure that out however you want to do it. But I'm just going to do 640 by 480 because I'm just imagining my game is on a old style tube screen or something. So I'm going to have landscape, and then there's a couple different ways to do it. There's event sheet and script. I'm going to choose event sheet because it's a lot quicker than using the scripting. And then I'm going to say optimize for pixel art, which basically means if you uncheck that, it's going to kind of be aliased between pixels. And because I'm just going to use the in-engine drawing tool, I'm just going to click optimize for pixel art so it doesn't have that blurry kind of look to it. So I'm going to do create, and here is what the canvas looks like. And basically, if you want to run your game, you click play, and you might need to allow for pop-ups for this website. So yeah, you should get a gray screen pretty quickly. But if you don't see the gray screen, if it's white, you might need to allow pop-ups. But yeah, let's get a game started just pretty quickly. I'm going to right click and then do insert new object. And there's a lot of different things that we have in here. There's keyboard, gamepad, mouse, touch. So if you want to make, mobile specific game, I would say use touch, right? We have media, so audio, all this other stuff. Mobile advertising. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff built in. Makes it really easy for you. It's not bloated like Unity or anything like that. Yeah, but if we want to make like a really simple, stupid platformer, I'm just going to double click on Sprite and then click it on the background. So here's our basic, rudimentary graphics editor. I'm basically just going to make a little character. I'm going to make sure the color is pretty distinct from the background. And I'm just going to draw something really basic. I like to start off really basic with images before, I'm kind of commit to a full idea. So just to get things started, I'm just going to draw this very rudimentary shape. If you want to change the size of anything, you can click this. So this is the canvas size editor, right? So if you click that, you can change how big it is, right? You can also stretch things, but I'm just going to draw a shape, maybe give it a fill. So it's just this blue guy. Maybe I'll draw a face on him to humanize. So he's upset. And that's all I'm going to do so far, just because I want to get this started, right? So I'm going to rename it just so I don't get confused for later. So I'm going to call this obj player. And for now, I'm just going to shrink him manually. So I'm just going to make him a little bit smaller on the screen. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another sprite. And we all know that a platformer needs brown bricks. So just going to do a brick color. But I would also recommend, if you're making like this kind of a game, especially if you're making like any kind of platformer in this engine, it's pretty useful just having a generic color, right? You don't need to detail it. And then what I would recommend is maybe after the fact, putting the graphics on top of where all the hitboxes are. But I'll just have this for now. This is my platform, and maybe I'll just, just so I can test it out, I'm just going to stretch it by grabbing those edges. So, oh yeah, and then of course I want to rename this, so I'm going to call this obj platform. And if I run it, I should have these characters, and they don't do anything, but it's a nice image. So if I want it to do something, what I'm going to do is right-click on the object player. I'm going to go to add, and then we have a bunch of different things here, right? So out the box, we can just use these behaviors. So they have a bunch of pre-built things for like a bunch of rudimentary style, basic games. And I would say for a 2-hour game jam, just abuse and use these, as much as you can. So there's a bunch of different behaviors. So there's like a shadow caster thing. So if you want to make something look 3D, right? There's a tween object, so that's really useful, right? I don't know what some of these things. I think an anchor is for like puppet style movement. There's car, there's bullet. So if you're making any kind of shooter game, like 2D shooter game, you can use that. There's really useful orbit thing, so maybe you don't have to do trigonometry or whatever. Turrets. But I'm just going to use platform, which is funny because this is the player, not the it broke. Yeah, I'm plugging in again. This character, and if you press up, down, left, right, so if you press up, it jumps. If you press left and right, it moves left and right. So this is like the most basic kind of thing that you could ever make, right? But let's see if we can do maybe a couple slightly more complicated things, and then we'll start the game jam. So, in a lot of platformers there are collectibles. So let's just make a quick collectible. So I'm gonna again, make a new sprite, and then I'm going to make it a yellow circle. I'm going to make it small. Another thing you might notice, and maybe this will become more apparent, but the collision immediately is just based on the size of the sprite. So if you notice for the platformer movement, my character wasn't actually on the ground, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm just going to right click the sprite, call it obj sprite, or not sprite, coin. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so you can collect the coins. So one thing I'll do is just make a bunch of coins. So if you click on a coin and hold control, you can just drag it out. So now I have a bunch of coins just everywhere on the screen, right? And let's make it so you can collect the coin. So I'm going to go into event sheet. I'm going to do add, and then I'm just going to say object player, and I'm going to say overlapping another object. You can use also on collision with another object, but for this is just a little bit more reliable because it will check if there's like any sort of hiccup or anything like that. This will just always work, and you don't need anything to be too specific. So I'm just going to say is overlapping another object, and then I'm going to click the object coin, and then I'm going to add. So here it says add section or add action. So I'm going to click on the coin. And then what is it? I think so. One cool thing is there's a bunch of different actions in here, but if you don't want to like scroll and read through every single thing, there's a search bar and you can just type in destroy, right? So see, did you do this part?
I am at the point where I've got the coins, I've copied them, I'm trying.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is just click add event. So it's this like grayed out thing. Then you just click on the object. So we want it to be when the player collides with the coin. So just click the player, scroll down, and then under collisions, it says is overlapping with another object. And then the object you want to choose is coin. And then after that, you do add action, and you just click coin, and then destroy coin. So I'm just going to give a preview. So see, yeah, if I collide with the coin, it's not very good, but you can see that I'm interacting with the different things pretty easily.
I didn't see the destroy part.
So if you don't see it, you can just search it in the search section.
No items. It's giving me no items.
Oh, so you need to make the event first. So it's overlapping. Oh, so you want to also make sure to label this. So you want to be when the platformer overlaps with this, because you're just having this when this object overlaps the same object. Then and yeah, you just want to have label these just so it's easier later.
Yeah.
Especially if you do any amount of scripting, it'll just make it a little bit easier to interact with. So one other thing, so right, this is pretty rudimentary or kind of boring so far. But let's just think, how can we spice this up? So the next thing we're going to do, so by default, there's no audio at all. So if we want there to be sound or anything like that, we need to right click on the background and then click audio. And that adds this new audio object, right? So that's the only way to get sound to start working in this application, which I'm not really sure why you have to do that, why it's not just built in. But the next thing you want to do is if you want to have any sort of sound, you just right click on sounds, import sound, right? And then you can just find a sound on your computer. I think I have a library in here that I can share. I think if you search, let's see. I'll send a link to a folder of sound effects, but basically, if you just go in and import to sound, it should work. The weird thing is that sometimes for audio, because it's running in web, it really likes specific kinds of sound files. So if you use an .ogg, .ogg, that's kind of the best. But let's just see what happens. I imported this WebM. Let's see what happens. I'm going to add another action, and I'm going to click audio. I'm going to say play, horn honk. Let's just give a preview. So I'm not hearing anything, and that's probably because the volume's at 0. So that's the original volume. So that should, I think this is one of those situations where if I convert it to an OGG, it will just work. So yeah, there's like some weird kind of things that happen. So that should just kind of preview if you, let's see. Yeah, see, nothing happens. So sometimes just test it out. And then the thing I would recommend is if you have Audacity or Dark Audacity. Sorry, I'm using the one that doesn't give my information to the U.S. military. um, which is a true. I guess that sounds like a joke, but it is very much not a joke. I'm just gonna go in and just export as an OGG, and then maybe I'll just do. This is kind of an irritating thing to have to do, but let's just see. Import sound, import audio. This is like one of the there's a lot of annoying ass stuff about Construct 3, but this is definitely one of them. Let's see, does this play? Oh, is it just what is happening? Is it trying to play from something else? Let's see, output, speakers. Uh-oh. So a second. just gonna say, I don't know, all these coins move right or something. I don't know. So I'm just gonna click on the coin. I'll just set at X position, so X plus 1. Oh, and maybe something. So if you want to reference a variable that's a part of an object that you've made, you want to type in that object. So do obj coin dot, and then if you do dot, it lists all the variables under that object, right? So I'm just going to do X. This will just move that coin to the right. What did I not do?
You just said it's.
Oh, I forgot to do +1. Yeah, right. Thank you. See, it's a pretty simple, pretty horrible game. Let's see. There are a couple other things that we can do. So if you want something to happen all the time, one thing you can do is add event. I'll go to system and I'll click every tick, right? So every tick, that means this will just happen constantly. One thing you can do is I'm just going to see, maybe I want to set the scroll, right? So you can scroll specific layers. You can scroll kind of like the whole screen. Let's just see. Scroll to X, and then I'm just going to type in object player dot X, because I just have one player that works out pretty nicely. So now, right, it's not the best game ever, right? But I have a pretty simple scrolling thing where the coins move and then I fall. Maybe one other thing to do, because yeah, this is a pretty complex engine. So of course, like feel free to kind of do whatever you want with it, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But the next thing I want to do is, let's say, there's a goal or something, and then after I reach that goal, I go to the next level, right? So if I want to do that, I'm going to right click on layouts, and then I'm going to say add a layout only. So you can add an event sheet for each layout. This is like kind of a weird thing. But I would say if you can, just try to keep this as simple as possible. You could theoretically have an event sheet for every single layout, but I would say if you're making, I would say try not to make, if you're not that experienced, don't make an event sheet for every single layout, because it's just going to get out of hand. So I would say if you're using the same mechanics throughout the entire game, just say add layout only, and then we'll kind of take a look. But see here in layout 1, if I double click that, see it says event sheet 1. So I'm going to go to layout 2, and I'm going to change event sheet to event sheet 1, right? And maybe one thing I'll do to clarify this is I'm just going to call this platform movement, or maybe platform mechanics, right? So this will just be for that. But maybe what a good idea could be, right, is if you want to have, a title screen, right? I'm just going to label this layout title screen, and then maybe I'll label the event sheet ES title screen. So then, right, it just goes immediately with it. So one thing to notice, right, is if I click play, right, it's going to start with whatever is at the top, right? So if I want to kind of mess around with that, I can. But let's just make it so being on the title screen takes me to, one layout, or like the start of the game. So all I'm going to do is just going to add an event, a keyboard event. I'm just going to say On, let's just say any key pressed, I'm going to add an action. And then if you type in layout, I'm just going to say go to layout, layout 1. So it's blank. And then I press space, and it takes me to level 1. So those are like some of the really, really, really extremely basic things that you can do. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Maybe I'll just show a couple of things that are kind of fun about Construct 3 if you want to kind of mess around with it. So the behaviors are kind of crazy, and you can stack them as much as you want. So you can add like multiple things to each other and get some kind of crazy effects. The other thing is there's a bunch of built-in effects. So there's like fog and like all these other kind of shader-like things that are in there. So that's pretty fun to mess with as well. Does anybody have any immediate questions before we start the jam? Yeah.
Can you show how to make a score counter?
The what?
Like
A score counter? Oh yeah, I can do that. That's something probably everyone wants to know. So I'm just gonna go into. I'm just gonna right click, do add a new object, and let's see. I think there's one in here that's just text, right? So I'm just gonna have text. I'm gonna place it. Actually, this is one thing that maybe is a good idea. Is I'm gonna do add layer at top. This is maybe something good to show. Is I'm gonna add layer to top. I'm gonna lock this bottom layer, which has all the stuff on it, and I'm basically gonna make this a UI layer. So maybe I'll also call this UI. Rename UI. And then what I'm gonna do is this is gonna be in my platform movement event sheet, and I'll just say every time you overlap one of these things, well, what do we want to do first? We want to add a global variable first. So there's this add, and I'm just going to say add global variable. I'm just going to call this score, and it's going to be a number. You can store a lot of different things like booleans, strings, all sorts of things. And I'm going to say okay. So up top it says score, right? So this is our global variable. I'm just going to say every time you overlap one of these things, I'm going to go to system, and then I'm going to say add to. So if I type in variable, I'll go to add to, and I'm just going to add 1 to score. And then every tick, I'm going to set text. I'm forgetting how to do this off of the top of my head, so I'm going to set text to score. I hope this works. I think you have to convert numbers to strings, but let's just see what happens. Oh, looks like I don't. So one thing that's bad about this is that the score is not scrolling with the the rest of everything else. So what you can do, and let's just see if I remember how to do this immediately. If you go to UI, let's see. If I do 0, 0 for the parallax, I think that just solves it. Yep. So the big thing here, maybe to answer your question, is just make a new layer, a UI layer, set the parallax to 0, 0, and then it should follow. I mean, it's not following, it's just not scrolling, right?
How do I make a UI layer again?
You just right click on the layer layout and add to the top. Oh, and then yeah, maybe one other. This will be the last thing I should. No, layer limit reached. Maybe what I'll do for that then, I'll just show something else as an example. So if you're because this is the free trial version, I have to think, oh, do I want a UI layer or do I want parallax scrolling? And I think I love the parallax scrolling more than the UI layer. So I'm just going to do something really quick. I'm just going to get a tiled background. I'm just going to make some crap like that. And, oh, one thing I have to do is make the background transparent on this layer. So then my cool parallax crap shows up. And then all I have to do is set this to, what is this? I forget if this is X or Y, but I'll just set both of these to some annoying amount. Yeah, this is better than UI, I think. Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're getting the jam started a little bit late, but that's all I'll do for the workshop. If you have any other questions, I'll answer them throughout the afternoon. We usually start off with a random theme. So I'm gonna go to Wikipedia. Actually, let's do the theme first. All right, can we get a drum roll for the theme? All right, and it's oh the United States at the 1992 Winter Paralympics. That feels kind of, that's like maybe the most video game theme that we've ever gotten. So again, I say this to every single month, but you don't have to do this. You don't have to do the theme at all if you don't want to. Or you can also take inspiration from the theme if you want to. So, the 1992 Paralympics, you could just do the Olympics if you wanted to. You could do a game about getting 45 medals, which I might do that. Was this? Oh, it was also in France. Wow, that's kind of crazy. You can do a game about you can do it about 2000, anything you want really, but this is just a source of inspiration. If you want, you can do it about the American flag. You can do it about France, which I guess we did that last time as well. Yeah, that's basically it, and it looks like we did pretty good. So I'll post that in here. When you're done, just make sure to additionally make an itch.io account. I'll show everybody towards the end how to export your game and things like that, which should be pretty easy. But yeah, maybe we'll do real quick before we start. Just introduce yourself. So if you want to work with this is a big thing I forgot to mention. This is actually a very important thing. So saving is really important in this software. Version control is pretty horrible in Construct 3. But one cool thing is it just can connect directly to Google Drive or to Dropbox. I would say this is 2 hours, so no one's going to do this, but I would say don't edit the files in the Dropbox folder. Don't edit them directly. I won't get into why, but just save. Yeah, make sure to save. Select a service and save to that. But yeah, let's all introduce ourselves, and in addition to your name, say your favorite Olympic sport. Okay, you can start if you want.
Okay, I'm Brian. I've literally never made a video game in my life before, and I would really want to learn how to make them. I guess my favorite Olympic sport would be ice skating.
Okay.
My favorite sport is probably the 400-meter sprint. Yes.
Men's or women's? Sorry.
I'm Jonah. I think my favorite Olympic sport is synchronized swimming. Very fun.
Or as I call it now, artistic swimming.
Especially once this year, but
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Laszlo. My favorite Olympic sport is probably bobsled.
Mm.
They go fast.
In Jamaica, they got a bobsled team.
All right.
Mine is Lucia. I think I like pool swimming. So,
My name is Robin. I don't think I have a favorite sport, but I recently learned that there's an Olympic sport that's called skeleton. It's a pretty big. Yeah.
Wait, what is?
It's like bobsled.
It's bobsled without the bobsled. The sled is like just like a plank, pretty much.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought this was called luging. Oh, it is
It's like
called.
a bigger
Oh, it's different. It's different than
Yeah.
luging. Oh, interesting.
Sled.
Okay.
Never seen it. Yeah. So, hi, I'm Chris. I'm a regular here. Sorry,
Why are you apologizing?
because I'm here that way.
Okay.
I don't know. I watched a lot of Olympic sports. I think this year my favorite has probably been the speed climbing because they look like Spider-Man.
I mean, I've been really into like the precision sports this year, so maybe like archery, shooting is also really cool to watch.
And I'm Blake. I think what's the word? This is very obvious, but I think skateboarding was very cool the past couple Olympics. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna give 2 hours. So yeah, we'll go until about 4:30. So if you have to leave before then, feel free to do so. And I'm gonna be posting maybe links in here. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. But we'll just get started. And yeah, you have 2 hours. So yeah, good luck.
Okay, I need to get some help.
Okay. Let me put on some music real quick and then. They just check the for the one that.
Sounds like one of those garbage.
Okay, so I kind of got lost after we did. Um, I would say for things, just reading all of your things like when they are. I leave them in there, but I guess that's where they. Yeah. Finish reading, but you can do that later. The other thing, so you have this block. So I would say block player you don't want to edit. And then and then you the background. So there's both um, repeating buttons, the tile background, you can do that. Or if you want to have like a picture, you can do that, but I just said it's very easy. You can change the size of it. But you can also paste it whenever you want.
Okay, so I'll make the background.
And then you need it to go down the character. And then you need to see where it says transparent. Transparent. And then if you want to scroll, and then if you see that it's red lines, maybe you like, you can change it to whatever you want, but to me, things change is the first one, because that's the X. I think that's X. So change it to like 150, 120, I don't know. Depending on, you probably just want to adjust the number.
What is this number doing?
So watch. So if you press play, or do you have it scrolling? Okay, so
There's not something that I couldn't figure out either.
Go to event sheet fonts. Can I see real quick? Is one of these supposed to be the title screen? So this is the title screen.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I couldn't figure out.
So this is event sheet 2. So I would just rename this so we remember. Do ES underscore and then title. And then rename this one. This event sheet 1. Rename that ES platform or something. I would say just call it platformer because you want to reuse this instead of making event sheets for every single. You could do that, but I would say don't do that first time. So then double click platformer, and yeah, then the event sheet. This one, yeah, and then do every two. Add action. And then the simple way of doing it is like if you wanted to scroll, is just system. And then do type in scroll. And then see it says scroll to X. So that will do scrolling on the X axis, but there's also scroll Y, so if you want there to be verticality, you can do that too. And then just type in player dot and then X. And see there's like a list of all the variables there. So click X. Then do done. And then if you press play. That's because the title selected. So one thing to do, we have to tell everybody this, but one thing you want to do is
Also, still don't have a way to transfer between tile and block.
okay, so I would just go in here. So add oh, did you put in a keyboard? So you have to put in a keyboard first. So go to like the layout. Just on the personal. Yeah. So then right click there. Do insert. And then just type in keyboard. Yeah. Or it could be clicked, you need your mouse or whatever. Then go back into the title. And then do add a keyboard. And then do type in the layout. Oh wait, sorry. Do I got it. Do on key pressed. Maybe do space or something. No, just enter. Just type press enter. Press enter. Maybe it can be protected, so just. And then go to add action. And now go to system. And then click or type in layout. Layout. Yeah.
Oh,
And then if you test it out and see, so if you change that last number, different. I just assume it's the back. Cool.
Thank you. I'll have to mess it up for everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should show how to adjust the collision.
So if I make the number bigger, then it goes faster or slower?
If you make it bigger, it goes way faster. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to show something pretty important. Um, but basically, if you're making like, especially if you're making a game like where like a character shoots something, you want to change the image point or at least be aware of where that is. So if you click this, this is like where things will spawn off of the character, and you can adjust and move where you want that to be. I would say also for a platformer, just make sure that this image point is at the bottom of the character because that's pretty easy to detect where you're jumping from. But then also if you want to adjust the hitbox, um, you can click this and automatically move it. I'll say I don't usually I like will make a platformer in a different way, but if it feels like you're hitting things way too soon, just adjust this. Yeah.
Um,
Get back to my prior layers. So whenever I try to click on edit anything, it's only editing the background.
So just make sure, see the locks? Make sure to lock the one you don't want to edit, and then unlock the one that you do want to edit.
Okay.
Like, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I put some objects out, but I changed some of their sizes manually. They were like.
You like stretched them?
I made them smaller, it's like way too big.
Yeah.
And now I want to spawn an object, but it's spawning it at the like original huge size.
I would just say, like, if you click the object, then you can see the size of it. And what you could do is I'll make like a version of it. So I'll do like a on key pressed so you can do this. So like I'm like creating the thing, and then I'll just do set size to whatever width and height.
Cool, I'll try that. Cool, that works.
I think you can also. I think you can just change it. I think you might be able to just change it here. So if you, yeah, maybe that's another thing you can do.
It's not showing that common section for this object. It is for ones that I've placed in the layout. This one that I haven't.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, so where the sizes is in that common block on the left.
Mhm.
I'm not seeing that whole section to change the size.
Oh,
I am seeing it for other objects, but not for this one. Maybe because I put the other one in the layout.
um, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's a way to. Hold on a second. Yeah, you might just need to change it like when you create it.
Sure.
I think there's a way to do that, but it's not.
At ease, loser. Weak.